Greetings, everyone, and welcome. You're in the zone, the Biz Info Zone. And the time has come to listen to the echoes from nature, from the land, and from the wisdom and teachings of our Native American teachers. For me, their words are simple, their voices are soft yet strong. And we've generally just not heard them. All right. That's always beautiful. Okay, so as I progress here, and get back to my page, greetings and welcome. I was mentioning that for me, the words of Native American wisdom teachers have been simple to understand, and their voices have been soft yet strong, and generally, we've not heard them. I know in past for me, until a couple of years ago, I saw it as something to hear, but not hear with my heart. And the reason for not hearing is that we don't listen. And so I say hearing with my heart, what I was doing was listening with my heart. Greetings again and welcome. You're in the zone, the Biz Info Zone, and I'm V. Hawkins, founder and dean of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship, where we teach entrepreneurs how to accelerate business growth by getting through the 5 tiers of what I call the 5 tiers of business acceleration, from profit to business mastery and 10xing your business. Join me at the P3 Academy and see what the business acceleration stuff is all about. So as we get into our show, perhaps now is the time to open our ears and our hearts to the words of wisdom that these two impart, because they teach by example how to create harmony, how to reclaim your sacred power to manifest abundant wealth, massive wealth, abundant health, to gain clarity and sharpen your focus, increase your energy, expand your reach. And those of us in business know how important it is to have all of these things. But you know what we sometimes don't recognize? And that is the power of intuition. They teach how to enhance your intuition. All of these things resulting in personal and planetary transformation. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I just would not do it justice, although I did write a few things on the event page. And right now, for me, I just want to breathe, because being in their presence has always been like medicine for me. So I say to my amazing guests, founders and educators, teachers of the Native American wisdom through How to Live on Purpose, TERRI and Chief Robert TALLTREE. Hi, TERRI and Robert. Welcome to the show.
Bindigan namadagan kanusan tikin nakaz omashkus nindadam.
I'll translate. Do I hear a little echoing? Are we echoing, Lynn, or is that?
Okay, you may be. Let me put my earbuds on while you continue.
Is speaking in our native language, our Ojibwe language, which is thousands of years old. And I'll translate. He said, "Welcome, come in, be seated." And when we say that, it means be in a comfortable place. Come into the circle. He said, "My name is Tree, reaching and growing toward the sky or the heavens. I am Elk Clan, and today is a good day."
And yeah, with my particular native elders, it's funny because initially we don't realize all the things that happen within our life definitely are bits and pieces of a magical puzzle. And of course, it starts off with me with being raised from a single parent. My mother at that particular time worked 3 jobs, took care of me and my sister. My sister lost her vision at the age of 7, and my baby brother. And we lived literally in a shack with a dirt floor. And those were my beginnings. And there were other individuals in that region, in that forest, that actually lived in shacks, even, I would say, even with more holes and less windows than us. But initially, she knew intuitively, because that was her training as an intuitive interpreter and a spiritual medicine woman, that there was more. And even within her prayers and even with her teachings from those native elders, it gave her an opportunity to realize that it was time to start to teach her oldest son, which was me, those specific fundamentals. And she also realized that we do not learn everything from one teacher. So she took the opportunity to call upon native elders who were 60, 70, even 100 years young. And I had the opportunity to grasp their hand and walk with them through the sacred places upon Mother Earth. And in doing so, I was able to absorb like a sponge their wisdom, their stories, and their songs, not realizing for many, many years how important they would be in the future of today. For what I discovered in that walk, in that path, and how they taught was that this wisdom was meant for all beings, for all people, to understand how success actually is attained. I live in a custom home today with my beautiful, beautiful partner, my bride of 22 years. I am blessed with health. I am 65 winters. I mean, these are all things that are relative to the core of who a person is. And that is where your success is. So many individuals have a tendency of using specific fundamentals from other teachers, and the fundamentals are set on the wrong side of the mind. Individuals don't realize that you need to take and start from a good solid foundation of who you are, and realize that that is relative to getting in attunement or in vibrational alignment of what your purpose is. And the intertwining, the weaving of that particular type of basket becomes very beautiful and very colorful. And because it's done in a good way, and it's because it's done utilizing the gifts that you are born with, that basket can hold your abundance. And this is what people forget, that that's how it's done. Everything that is manifested comes from the ethers of nothing and then becomes something. But it's all relative to the empowerment of specific words. Some of them that we use today are in the ancient language of my people, the Ojibwe, the Chippewa, that are thousands of years old. But what is necessary is realizing that the vocabulary in which you use on yourself and on others is relative to how you empower your ability to be able to have abundance and great wealth, not only in the financial aspects, but also in the aspects of your relationships and self. So when people have a tendency of taking and coming to me and saying, "Oh, you were so fortunate," or "You were so lucky," I said, you know what? I accept that. I embrace that. But in reality, it's because of the environment that I have created within myself as being expressed outwardly. And so for manifesting my abundance in my home, my relationships with myself, and with the great mystery, the creator, are all key components of my success. And that's what people forget, that those are the ingredients that are necessary for each and every person to really find their birthright and their purpose.
That's beautifully said. I love that. And, when we think about starting at the beginning, the foundation of it all, a lot of people just don't understand what that alignment that you're referring to really means, what it is. Take a moment and tell us what it is, how you get to it. And I know that you mentioned the words that we say. How does it all come full circle to really mean something in that alignment that you spoke of?
Well, the alignment which needs to be taken and rediscovered is relative to the focus in which and intention in which each human being takes. That focus and intention gets skewed by today's society and how we are taught from day one. If you, for example, anytime you have a tendency of turning any type of media on, whether it's a television or a computer or iPod, you will find that what has a tendency of being emphasized are negative things. I'm considered, along with many of my elders, a media dropout. And it's because I do not, here's how it was spoken to me: no free rent.
You're right. No free rent, no free lunch. Yeah, got to come to the table ready, willing, and your ability is based on that readiness and that willingness and your openness. And I talked in the beginning about how, you know, the wisdom of Native Americans has been known for years, you know, hundreds. And the one thing that has kept people from really understanding it is because they didn't know how to listen to it. You know, and it is truly what teachers teach us about how you can be standing in your own way and, you know, being your own worst enemy. And, you know, again, I go back to this thing called words. And, you know, if we really are taking into account the words that we're hearing others say to and about us and translating them into the words that we're saying to ourselves and the words that we're putting out into the universe, what kind of impact does that have? And how do we level that out in order to bring it to a place where we are more powerful, we are empowering ourselves?
One of the things that's very insightful. One of the things that we share are the teachings of the 3 arrows of power, and you are familiar with this, Lynn, that every human being is born with 3 arrows of power, and we may not have absolute control over our circumstances, but we have complete control over our 3 arrows of power. Your first arrow of power are the thoughts you think. The thoughts you think. That's your first arrow of power. Your second arrow of power are the words you speak. The words you speak. And your third arrow of power are the actions you take. And when we're speaking about words, they're not only the words that come out of your mouth, they're the words that you're listening to inside and speaking to yourself, the relationship you have with yourself. With these 3 arrows of power, you can literally change your world because they go out and form the ethers and bring back what you experience as reality. That's exactly how it happens. And those words, when they're aligned, when you can line up your thoughts, your words, and your actions, then you are standing in congruency. You're totally congruent. And we say, when you are doing that and you're aligned with your true purpose, that you are standing in the center of the sacred medicine wheel. That's where your power comes from. You stand completely aligned with your feet on the ground, well grounded and balanced, aware of things in all directions, with yourself completely connected to your spiritual intelligence. And we've heard throughout our lives about IQ. We've heard a lot lately about EQ, emotional intelligence, but people don't often understand how powerful spiritual intelligence is. And you spoke about this at the beginning, that understanding how to tap into your intuition and allow yourself to know how to read the signs that are being presented to you, gently guiding you on your journey so that you're not constantly doing battle. So many people today are living in a world that is comprised of doing battle. They're struggling against lack, whether it's lack of time, lack of money, lack of support, lack of love, lack of influence, just a feeling of not enough, not being enough themselves, not having enough. And that is like being at war all the time. It's very, very draining. And so when we begin to tune ourselves into the energy of the influences in nature that are around us, that are attempting to guide us on our path so that we can fulfill our purpose, like all of nature, everything in nature. My uncle said to me once, he said, you know, as human beings, we are onchika, which means pitiful. And he said, a tree always remembers that it's a tree. A bird always remembers it's a bird, but us two-leggeds, we've forgotten who we are and why we're here. and that makes us pitiful. So when we begin to quiet down all this noise, when Robert says no free rent, he's talking about not letting the, computer programmers call it garbage in, garbage out, right? Not letting ourselves be influenced by things which no longer support the essence of who we truly are. And every being here is here for a purpose, whether that's the feather nation, the four-leggeds, every standing upright, every human being is born and living to fulfill a purpose. They have a reason to be here. And if you're here today, this message is for you. You're in the right place, and this is the right time. The world is waiting for you to share your gifts and talents, and to stop hiding behind this false screen of security that we all learn to do from an early age. We all learn to protect ourselves by putting up a front of trying to be someone we're not, trying to be someone we think other people want us and expect us to be. And as long as we're doing that, we are, the Hopis say, we're clinging to the edge of the river. We're holding on to the shore, and that river is continually trying to pull us into the flow, but we're so afraid to let go that we are getting battered and bruised along the way. Chief Jake Swamp, a dear friend of ours from the Iroquois Nation, said he shared a story that they teach their children. They continue to remind them throughout their life. And it's a great story about understanding how abundance works. He said, if you're thirsty, walk to the river. When you get to the river, sit down at the shore, sit at the bank of the river, and take a moment to appreciate the river. You don't need to take a bucket. You don't need to even take a cup. After you've taken a moment to show your respect and gratitude for the river, rest your hand in the water, and that river will fill your hand up. And you can drink, and it will quench your thirst, and it'll do it over and over and over again. So there's no reason to fear. And it's such a beautiful teaching, because we think we have to make the river come to us. We think we have to, force and control things, but that river is already flowing. And like the Hopi said, let go. Let go of that, that fear that keeps you clinging to the false security. Let go and allow yourself to be gently carried by that natural current. And that natural current comes into place in your life when you really step into your purpose.
Oh my, beautiful, beautiful, and beautifully said. I loved both of those stories, the analogies, and I think one of the things for me has been letting go of the side and really feeling the flow as being what you called the gentle carrying of yourself into that which you desire. And there was a word that you mentioned that I want you to just speak to for a minute, that many of us don't even realize that is the reason why we want to cling to the side and continue to get battered and bruised in the struggle. And that's fear. Talk to us about fear and how even we can use these 3 arrows of power to eradicate the fear.
False evidence appearing real. Yeah, hanging on the roots to the shore is really what people have a tendency of doing, and it's because it becomes familiar. They become familiar with the all the surroundings, that they are so fearful that if they let go, they'll never find another route. But there are always, as nature continues to be the best teacher for us all, there will always be many along the shore if you wish to take and go to the shore. Others wish to just float. And then initially what happens is, the first thing that happens is when you have a tendency of getting into an unknown environment is panic. Now you need to take and wonder what's ahead of you, or you start splashing and looking around and not seeing what's ahead of you, and then you get more bumped around, and then you start beating yourself up saying, I should have never let go of the root at the shore. Invariably, I say, find that sanctuary within yourself, find that peace within you, and within that peace, you will then be more aware of what is coming towards you, to reposition yourself, to prepare yourself for those particular obstructions of roots or tree trunks or boulders that are in the river. And when we speak about the river, it's a metaphor of life, you know, because the rivers rise and they come down, they recede, and they also have a tendency of being connected to the storms that happen in life. These things are all relative to nature and the way in which I have been taught, and Terry has been taught by our native elders. Hers of the Plains Nation, mine of the Woodland Nation. But we have found when our paths came together that we had so much in common that it was destiny. It was relevant to the aspect of showing individuals that you cannot read a book by its cover. So people see me, they say, oh yeah, that's a Native American, but do they see a Native American when they see her? But it all resonates within so many individuals, these particular teachings. And so when they see that, yes, the elders looked upon us with open eyes and saw within our eyes the heart which beats within us, and realized that that blood is the same as all. And they realized that wisdom is meant for all too. And so when they taught her these particular stories and lessons and herbologies, they taught me also of the particular ones that resonated within that part of Mother Earth, to show that we can take and become more accustomed to our new environment. And in doing so, it vibrationally attunes us to what we're supposed to be doing. We are supposed to put our feet to the earth. We are supposed to take a moment and be thankful for the winged ones that sang to us and called to us to say, what prayer do you want to take me to take to the great mystery of the Creator, to God? We are called to awaken when the birds sing, because they're singing in the delight of the new day. Just as we need to take and realize that these are all lessons that nature has been trying to speak to us about it. And when we start to embrace these things is when we find our inner sanctuary. And within that inner sanctuary that every human being does have within them, it's always there, it's hidden sometimes, is where you will find your clarity and your ability to reawaken your spiritual intuitions, which allows you to make specific choices which are in alignment to purpose and your birthright.
Lynn, you asked about fear too, and I want to just add to what Robert said. Fear almost never exists. I won't say it's rare that it's actually coming from the present moment. It's usually when we're looking back with regret, or looking forward with anxiety. And so it's usually when we're doing some kind of comparison of some kind of expectation that hasn't been met. So when we begin to understand that we have the ability through free will to set intention, but that intention and expectation have very different frequencies. Intention is a place of empowerment. Expectation is a place of that sets us up for disappointment. And so we feel disempowered through expectation. And when we're comparing where we think we quote unquote should be compared to where we are, it takes us right out of the present moment. And it's like taking, when we are connected with the divine source of our existence, who we really are and where we come from. We all come from the same place. We can name that place, and that we can use a million different names for that, but it's all the same. We come from the same place. We are all related. Our elders say, "Kakinawea." We are all related, and we all have a reason to be here. Within us is the creative spark to consciously, deliberately, intentionally create. And we are waking up. The journey of our human experience is to wake up, to realize that. So when we go through life trying to force things to change in our physical reality and just approach it through only setting goals and only moving physical energy, it's extremely tiring. It wears us out quickly, and we feel a disconnect from that joy, that wellspring of joy that is not only eternal, it's infinite, it's boundless. Our energy and what we are capable of is so much bigger than we can even comprehend in our human mind. And so when we begin to get out of that flow state where we think we are having to cause things to happen and we're doing it on our own, it's like taking a plug and pulling it out of the outlet. You're not going to get the juice, right? You're not going to get that which causes things to manifest. And so a lot of times people think, why can't I manifest? Well, you're manifesting all the time. You're just not manifesting consciously. If you think that what you have in your life you haven't manifested, then it's because you haven't yet put together how manifestation works. And it's a very specific process, and it's a process that anyone can learn. It takes a bit of discipline because we've become really lazy, and we let our mind just, I call it drive the bus. You know, we jump into the passenger seat and we go along for the ride, and the mind just takes us on any little bit that it's interested in, any little twinkling that we see, any little sparkle, we'll go over and check it out. And it can be, you know, that accident that happened on the road. It can be the thing that invokes some excitement, and it's not always in our best interest. And it doesn't always take us to the place we want to visit. So when we begin to have clarity, right, we call them the 3 C's: clarity, consistency, and when we're doing it, what's the third? Clarity, courage, and consistency. Thank you. Because once we have clarity, once we wake up, because the elders say, you know, there's 7 billion people on the planet, and most of them are sleepwalking with their eyes open. When we wake up, we begin to have clarity. Who am I? Why am I here? What is the song in my soul? What is the song? What makes me wake up and feel like I'm here to play, right? What is that? When I have the clarity about that, then I have to have the courage to actually live that life. That's letting go of the shore, right?
Yes.
Not a lot of people have the courage to do that. And there's a tremendous value in having support when you're in that process, because until you get really, really clear and you can stand in the midst of the storm and still remember who you are, it really helps to have support and community and teachers to help guide you through that. So once you wake up and you get clarity, and then you have the courage to stand in your own true light, then it's the consistent practice. And you know this from doing the mind shift process. That consistency is very powerful, because like anything else, like I lift my little weights in the morning, and they're little 2.5 pound weights. They're not hard. It's not heavy. It's not a burden. But the consistency of doing it gives me a really nice little muscle, right? It gives me muscle memory. It gives me the strength to do what I want to do in my life. And that's how our practices, all of our native practices, are based on this consistency of staying tuned in, and not like, oh, how did I get over here? Like falling asleep in the middle of, you think you're on the right road, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you go, wow, I'm here again. And that's what a lot of people find, right? They have a breakthrough, and then they find out, why am I back here again? Why am I struggling to pay the bills? Why am I getting by with just enough, but not more than enough, so that I'm living my desired lifestyle? Why is it that every time I really get going, I get sick? Or why is it that I get to a certain income level and I can't seem to push through to another, a greater experience of abundance? All those things are the way that resistance shows up. So when we begin to understand that resistance shows up when we are not attuned to our purpose, then instead of resisting resistance and being in that battle again, we simply begin to have a whole new level of conversation and engagement in our life. And that engagement comes from beginning to master yourself. Then you decide, I'm going to drive the bus. I'm going to be the commander of my life. And as Robert has something he says, and this is one of the most powerful teachings. He says, your mind is a powerful servant, but a terrible master. You must be the master of your mind.
The unique thing about success is it's not as tangible as picking up a glass or a pencil. It is more relevant to an energy, which is not it's not held by natural law. It doesn't have a tendency of being held by gravity. It has the opportunity to continue to express itself or stop to express itself, but it's still an expression even in its dormant place. And so when we talk about the aspects of success and abundance, it's relative to the aspects of coming to that new reality. That friction does not have a tendency of slowing success. It's the mind and the conditions in which you are placed it that's relative to that success. And so going into that inner knowing, that ethers within yourself, that universe within yourself, and realizing that you have chosen to stop the progress of this abundance. And taking that responsibility is one of the hugest things that individuals can take. But once they say, yes, I am manifesting everything within my life. Of course I am, whether I'm conscious of it or not. It's still relevant to the aspects of the things in which I have ingested and created word, and then from there formulated story. And many of the stories do not always have a tendency to be putting me in a very kind light. Now, I did that because I had taken and succumbed to the aspects of other individuals' thoughts and processes of who they thought I was. When initially I am a light in itself from a higher essence and vibration. Before I even became existence in this vibrational form, which is called physical realm, I was even with the greatest essences of all. And then I was given this new projection, this new assignment to be able to take and open up and embrace more, not less, more. That is why all of us are here, is to embrace more and more and more and more, and in doing so, role model to others that they can do it too, because that's how powerful that the mind is. When you start taking and realizing and being awake and not nodding off, when you start taking and doing that and really composing the particular words that are empowering and utilizing with them with the connection of an empowered story, it does change your world. It does change your life. My father would have left me and my mother and my sister and brother when I was at the age of 2. And for many years, I had taken and created a story that I did not have value or worth. Otherwise, he would have stayed. I saw other children with their fathers playing ball and being picked up and just, learning all these connections, these bonds. And I thought, why would he abandon me? And so the story, because of my ability to be able to take and be influenced by today's society, was not going in a very empowering direction. And it wasn't until all of a sudden my mother at the age of 60 winters said that when your father left, he held you and wept. Now, that doesn't sound like much to many, but it was a huge breakthrough, because it showed me that something within himself knew that he wasn't going to be there. Something within himself, whether he knew there was something physically wrong with him or whatever the story was, he knew that he would never see me again. And to know that he held me and wept changed my story. I started thinking and seeing how much and a magnificent man he must have been, because look at all the elders, the teachers that came within my life just to try to fill that void. Now that is what people need to start to look at. That their magnificence is relevant to something that was bigger than just that moment. That their relevance, that their empowerment is relative to them seeing what they can do by making just those minor little habits, those new choices within their lives to really express their light. And their light is not that when they see it within themselves, they realize that it's also connected to, and it's relevant to the aspects of the gifts that which they already know how to do. It's not like you really have to expand very far. You just need to find those things within yourself and start to build them and intertwine them, as I said earlier, as the basket that can hold your abundance. I had one native friend of mine, he said, children come to me and they say, Mr., I see him in the neighborhood, give me $1. And he goes, there's money on the ground. And they go, I don't see any. He goes, because your mind is not attuned to the aspects of seeing it. See that branch that looks like a Y? That's a slingshot. You can sell that. Make that. See that rock? There's a man that made $1 million putting eyeballs on them, pet rocks. He said, use your mind. He said, there's money on the ground. He says, you can be successful, but you need to take and be creative and allow that creative color that's within you. It's like a rainbow, because we all have rainbows within us. Take it and touch upon those aspects of that inspiration, and that's how you make your abundance happen. That's how it is. It's people want to make it complicated. People want to take and set it in. You have to study this many minutes or this many hours or this many years to be able to take and attain a specific place within this world. If you really look and start to do your research, you'll find that so many individuals that became millionaires and billionaires didn't even have a high school education. That's because they saw their vision and went and embraced it. And the reason why they were success is because nobody told them that they couldn't be. It's like a blade of grass that breaks through a concrete. You know, if you search for it, you find it doesn't matter how thick the concrete is. You'll find grass growing through it. And it's because nobody taught that blade of grass that it couldn't do it. That is the same power that every human being has within themselves. No, just know that. My successes is because I didn't know any better. I didn't know I was not supposed to be successful, but that was really a gift.
That's actually quite beautiful, because there are so many of us who've been conditioned in this. You know, I know when I was growing up, it was children. How did it go? I've distanced myself from it so far. I can't even remember it now. It's like children are supposed to be seen and not heard, right?
Right.
And all of this stuff that we've just been conditioned into, which also I love. You said a couple of very key things. And when I think about business, I know that for me in the business acceleration program that I now am focused on and teach in, one of the key things that I start with is the human potential piece, because where you talked about it, if you aren't in a position to, if the basket can't hold the abundance that you seek, the abundance that you seek cannot find you.
Right.
And it starts with the you. It starts with understanding that we have to develop you, expand you to the point and position. You talked about positioning, where the business that you do can yield the greater results because you're in a position to receive it. And then I loved what you said about making things complicated. We want to make things so complicated for others and ourselves when actually it's so simple. It's as simple as saying yes, or making the decision I'm going this way versus that way, or making the decision I'm just going to be here with an open heart at the edge of the river, and then put my hand in the river, take a scoop of water and begin to quench the thirst, knowing that you don't know what's ahead of you, but you don't need to know, because the right thing will come to you. And it makes me think in business, where we are business owners and we're looking to, you know, amass our wealth so that we can do more business. Yet what we don't see is the vision that doing more business aligned with doing more good in the world is sometimes even possible. There are so many entrepreneurs that I talk to and work with now that, you know, when I was in the corporate environment, I used to do these things. But now that I'm a business owner, I don't really have the capacity. I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. The profit's not there to give a piece of the, all of these things. But they're not seeing something that you mentioned also, the beyond. What is the bigger picture? Speak to that a little for me, because it's a quandary for business owners nowadays. How do I do business and even think about helping to do more good in the world?
Well, you know that money is just an energetic expression of gratitude. That's all it is, and that it's a common, an accepted way of doing specific exchange. And every time that I have a tendency of paying the light bill or my house payment, I think of it that someone has taken and given me an expression of gratitude, and in that abundance, within that you, if you draw that on a piece of paper, draw you, just a you. That's your bowl. That's your bowl. That's your basket. But initially, when every time that happens, that's what I keep in mind. That's the vibration I keep in mind. And so I am open to having my basket overflowing. And I've realized that as my basket overflows, I am then directing it to other individuals to become inspired too. And that's part of it. When an individual comes to see you, to take part in the things in which you have embraced, the wisdom which you carry, they are giving you expressions of gratitude. It's not that they're giving it to you, but they know that what they will receive will be the abundance and the clarity to be able to make better choices. So they are actually giving to themselves too. Mm-hmm. People don't see it in the circular, the medicine wheel of completion. That's the energetic aspect. They see it if they buy a loaf of bread. Yes, I paid for the loaf of bread. I gave an expression of gratitude. I am feeding my body. But they don't realize that what is happening is we are feeding their mind and their spirit at the same time. You can feed the mind, but when you have a tendency of giving it something that's just always in black and white, like the old movies, it's not as beautiful as when you see The Wizard of Oz. I mean, when you got a transition, really is more exhilarating because it's more attuned to the natural colors of nature. And so when you have a tendency of creating this wonderful blend, this essence, this awakening, it allows them to be able to see that, yes, if this is within me being expressed, then, and that it has a tendency of being influenced of what I ingest, then I need to start taking and having a higher quality of a feast of my mind and my spirit. And if I can vibrationally get those together, I know that I will have fun and be able to play all along the way. Because that's what I'm doing now. This is what I do. I don't have anything else I do. This is what I do. This is what I immerse myself in, of the things, of the teachings of the elders, and getting people I can see it in their eye when all of a sudden they click, or they'll write to me, because a lot of these programs, I talk to them within a 24-hour period. They write to me and I write back to them. And that's the exciting part, that they realize is that this is not something that's just recorded and you're supposed to take in a little book and write it all down and leave it at that. This is a human contact, a human touch. This is exactly the way in which my life has changed, is because of those native elders. They were there to feed my mind, my body, my spirit, and my emotions. And those four realms are the key components which are necessary for every human being to really fill their basket. That's what people forget. They get too much into one of those realms and think that that's the key to their wealth of their health or the wealth of their life in general.
I'll share one of the medicine wheel teachings from the Miracle MINDSHIFT program, and that because it speaks directly to what you said. Instead of just going into business and trying to survive through it and make enough to eke out an existence, we need to have a comprehensive vision of what are we doing and why are we doing it. So on the medicine wheel is a beautiful, beautiful image. It's represented as a circle, and the circle is divided into 4 equal quadrants. Actually, it's more like a sphere, and that sphere has no outer limit. It just goes on into infinity. And we stand in the center of the sphere, and this light is just all around us in all directions, in every dimension. But to simplify it, it looks like a circle with these 4 quadrants. And when we begin, we have to have a clear vision. And that vision has to be bigger than just you know, how much do we need to exist to get by? It needs to be what makes your heart sing. Why are you here? What is the quote unquote work you are here to do in the world? So that your business becomes a natural extension of who you are and how you're going to share your gifts and talents. So that begins with to the direction of the east, the sacred direction of the east, where the new day dawns. That's the place of vision. What is your vision for that? And then as we move to the south, the direction of the south is, what is the purpose? What is your purpose for doing that? Who is that going to impact? How is that going to affect your life? The life of the people in your inner circle, your closest family members and friends, your community, your tribe, your nation, the world, the environment, the planet. How will that benefit? How will that make each one of those layers, 7 layers out, how will that make everything better, right? That's the vision, the bigger extension of why, which is social entrepreneurship, right? How do we make the world a better place? How do we leave it in better condition than we found it? Our elders have taught this for generations. We are responsible to the next 7 generations. Everything we think, do, and say, everything affects the next 7 generations. So what is the impact going to be that you have? That's in the south. To the west is having unwavering faith. Unwavering faith. Well, that's one thing to say it, but to actually have unwavering faith, what is faith? Belief in that which you cannot yet see. It's invisible to the human eye. So when you have a clear vision and the purpose for that vision is so much bigger than you, so much bigger than just eking out an existence, then you have purpose. And when something has purpose, you can have faith in it, right? Without purpose, you can't have faith. It's going to be tossed about in the wind, and you will be at the effect of the storms that come. But if you have purpose, and that purpose transcends your own existence, and you must do it no matter what, whether it gets hard, whether you know how, whatever that resistance is that says, oh, you're too little. What makes you think anybody'd want to hear your voice, right? What makes you think you have the right to do that? Who do you think you are? All that negative stuff that the ego throws at you, when you have purpose and you're grounded with your feet into the earth, you're going to be able to withstand those storms and hold on with faith that it has to happen, because this is a vision that has been given to me by the great mystery. I am here for this. I was born for this. And if you've ever met anybody who can stand in front of you and say, I was born for this, you know, God bumps come up. You know, you can't, that's not something you're going to oppose, right? You're going to get out of the way because you know what's going to happen. And then finally to the north, which is the place where the cold winds come. This is the position of the wisdom keepers and our elders. This is the place of gratitude. And when we say gratitude, we're not talking about, I'm going to write a list of things I'm thankful for. I'm going to think my way into it. No, it's being steeped in the feeling state, the emotional state of gratitude. Feeling so moved that energy just literally magnetically draws the experiences you need to fulfill that purpose to you. So when you have all those things in place, that's the process for conscious manifestation. Now that takes, a little bit of practice, but I don't know about you. I do know about you, but I'm posing it as a question to ask yourself. Can you learn anything you're really committed to?
Always, yeah.
Always. I learned to drive. I was able to walk out of the hospital after being completely paralyzed. I know how to type. I didn't know how to type at one point. I learned how to do that. I've learned many, many things in my life because I was motivated to do it. it was important enough for me to invest some time and attention and repetition, right? And that's where consistency comes in. And I want to answer a question someone wrote in, asking for some guidance today. They wrote in, I noticed a question. They said, I have a specific amount of money that I need by a specific date for these specific things. And no matter how much I focus on the law of attraction, no matter how much I try to stay positive and all these things, it still keeps coming up that it's not happening. What do I do? This is a really significant question, because this is the human condition, right? The feeling of, I am not directly connected to source. Source is not hearing me. It's not delivering. I'm here and I am alone and I am suffering. And I have a lot of compassion for that, because I have been there and I know how scary that is. So from my heart, I want to share with you an experience that I had. And actually, this was just a couple of months ago that I got to practice this. And it was so powerful that it's very similar to the question. I had an unexpected bill come in the thousands of dollars. And it brought up for me some residual energy of fear. Like, oh, I wasn't expecting this. Where is this going to come from? And I realized that as long as I was in the question of, where is this going to come from? I don't know how to do this. That I was holding it in a place of not being resolved.
Jesus.
It was holding the problem in place. It wasn't holding the solution in place. It wasn't creating the basket to be filled, right? It was just a closed door. I don't know how. I'm doing everything I know how, and it's not how. I don't know how. So I invite you to ask the question, how could this happen? Which invokes a state of wonder, and children are masters of this. Children live in a state of wonder. Wonder is an open place. Knowing the answers or not knowing the answers is a closed place. It's limited, right? There's limit. It's not infinite. It's limited. And since you're an infinite being with infinite potential, when we start saying, I wonder how, so I got this bill and I started thinking, all right, well, I don't like this feeling of tension in my chest here, of fear, anxiety, worry, doubt, all the ego stuff. Fear, worry, doubt, it's the ego. I want to change the energy. I want to switch the energy around. So I started saying, well, I wonder how. This is going to be fun and exciting. I'm going to get to be surprised. It's going to be like a big surprise. This is pretty cool. So every night before I went to bed, I would put myself in a place of deep gratitude, knowing that something magnificent that I had no conscious awareness of was going to happen, was going to come into my life, was going to appear magically, miraculously, because I wasn't going out and doing this and doing that and pushing the physical energy around, but I was doing something. I wasn't being inactive. I was being very deliberate about it. And anytime during the day that fear started creeping in, I would immediately take command of myself and put myself in a state of eager anticipation, knowing something was going to happen. I didn't know what. Well, within, I don't know, less than 3 days, I'm giggling because our turtle, we're foster parenting a turtle, and it's climbing up out of the tank so it can sun itself to receive the light, right?
I love it.
Stretching like a little yogi. She's got her neck way up. Anyway, so I was excited and wondering, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? This is so cool. And sure enough, within 3 days, literally out of the blue, and probably 9 out of 10 people who are in the Miracle Mindshift program use that expression, out of the blue. It seems as if it appears from nowhere, from a place unexpected, not that you're planning on it, counting on it, or even working on it, but forces, both seen and unseen, are working on your behalf because your intention is clear. It's not, you're not sending out a mixed signal, fear, confidence, fear of confidence. So you're not negating and canceling it out, right? So I just kept focusing on that. And I wasn't working at it. I was playing with it. I was doing it like a child would play. And we get this phone call, you know, I have this unpaid balance and I just got my tax return in. And I talked to my husband, we want to just pay this whole balance off, thousands of dollars. We're like, well, that's absolutely delightful. We love that. And oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, we also want to do this. Another several $1,000s. It was like so much fun, right? So I was in the fun of it as opposed to in the worry struggle of it. I wasn't like, ooh, but these are the ways I know how to make money. These are the things I can do. And it gave me an opportunity recently to practice it in a way that I hadn't really practiced it before. So if you can get yourself into that childlike state of knowing that you are loved and supported more than you can possibly imagine, that there are forces both seen and unseen working on your behalf, that you are not here to struggle and suffer. You are here to express your divinity as a creative force, and that you don't create by yourself, you co-create with infinite power, unlimited power, right? That is everywhere. There's no place you can go that that power is not. So you are never separate from it. You just need to align with it consciously so that you're working in harmony. And when you do that, when you're working in harmony, you're in harmony with all living beings. It does no harm to anyone else. It's in everyone's highest good. Everyone feels empowered, right? Everyone gets to feel the light, that burst of light that comes through that. And that's what happens when every human being is born. There is a burst of light that happens. We see it in our ceremonies. And the elders say, on the day you were born, the whole universe celebrated. You're here for a reason. You're here to express the truth of who you are. And as long as you were hiding underneath that basket instead of turning it over and opening it up, like welcoming it, like the monks open their alms bowl, right? Here I am, world. I'm here to shine. And I'm here to share love, not fear. I'm here to share love, and I'm here to encourage you by my own existence, right? That's what I want to be to you. I want to be a light in the world so that you go, oh, the shadows are gone. I can see it so clearly now, right? That's for me the delight. And when the day that I walked out of the hospital, the doctors were saying, you're the only one who's not absolutely flabbergasted that you're walking out today. Well, I had a very clear vision, and I didn't do it in exactly the amount of time that I had set as my intention, but I did it within a relatively short period of time, like 10 days later. And at the time when I hit that mark where I set my goal, I felt really disappointed. I felt like I had failed. This is the human mind working on us, right? It didn't see all the progress I had made. Have you ever done that in your life where you make all this progress, but you focus on that thing that wasn't quite right, right? You compare it. Instead of seeing what you have, you compare it to what you don't have, what you didn't get. And as long as we do that, we put ourselves right back into that field of expecting to be disappointed. So after doing that, I released that and got back into that flow state of, I'm still holding that space. I'm going to be abundantly healthy. I'm going to be abundantly happy. This is who I am. I'm this right now. I'm not waiting. I'm right now. What I seek is seeking me. Rhonda Del Vecchio, one of our ambassadors on How to Live on Purpose, and one of our mastery members, said this beautiful poem, and I want to share it with you all. What I seek is seeking me. I know not how it comes to me, but how comes to be, but how is never up to me. As I will, so shall it be. And this is it. When we have clarity, when we have courage, and then we consistently practice, and it doesn't mean you're going to forget, you're not ever going to forget. That's the process of mastery. You'll forget, you'll get into fear, and then you just recognize it. Oh, there it is again. You know, That's not that I just took a turn. Like, let's get back on the path. Put my feet back on the earth. This Mother Earth, this sacred Mother Earth that supports my every step. I want my steps to be gentle upon her. I want my heart to be light upon her. I want to be in gratitude. I want to hear the devotional songs that the birds sing, whether they're in New York City or they're in the middle of the forest, they sing. And that's what we need to do. We need to sing our devotion and our gratitude, our appreciation for all of our relatives. We know that we are family. We're here to help one another and to take care of the earth. And that's what I want to do. You know, I want to be someone who supports you in your abundance, who supports you in your health, in your well-being, so that you shine your light in the world. You have much to do. You're not done yet. You have much to do. So that's to me, it's a delight. It's an honor. It's a great privilege. I'm humbled beyond words to be able to share these teachings with you, because they have changed my life.
And Lynn, you can see that this is because we have had the opportunity to be around individuals of light. We have, and that light has shined so bright, it allowed us to shine bright too. We get excited about people's successes. The pain about it is when people don't see it themselves and that they give up. That's probably one of the worst things. I'm sure you've experienced it. I have very, very close friends that are very successful, that have been guiding people that have experienced. They said, you know, TALLTREE, that it brings tears to my eyes at times to just see this person stop when they are so close to really see their successes. And that's and we know that happens. We know it's just the part of the equation. It's the way that things happen, that people, something within them says, I don't deserve it. Something says within them, I'm not strong enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not tall enough, whatever it may be. It always has that key component of I'm not enough. And I say, it's a lie. That is a lie. You are enough. You have the capacity to make great changes. It's never too late for you to take and make this shift. I had a woman that I was asking to come into my master program. She said, TALLTREE, I have no food in my cupboard, and I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. I said, would you like me to give you a few key components of how to do that? I said, it's not complicated. And with 8 months, she not only had food in the cupboard, money in the bank, but she also had a book about her life of 50 years with her husband, the love of her life, and that was being published by the biggest publisher in the world. I mean, that's the consciousness of shift. And it happens as it happens. You take the first steps, like the Miracle Mind Shift teaches you. It takes you into a new realm of wonder. And people have difficulty capturing and holding wonder, so I give you this key to all of you. Find within the pictures the picture of you as a child with just great delight. You'll be smiling, you'll be laughing. That is your wonder. I have one myself that I put on Facebook, and it has me. I'm a 5-year-old sitting there just with my little hands up in the air, my little plaid shirt, and my little buckle shoes, and I'm just smiling. And it was colorized because it was a black and white picture. But initially, that is my wonder. That is what continues to get me to open up and expand and inspire, because that's what we were born to do. If you can bring somebody down, you can bring somebody up. That's what I'm saying, is that what is it that you want to focus on? Because whatever you focus upon will expand. That's what people forget. So when you have a tendency of having these particular debts and they're sitting there right in front of your face, well, if it's in your face, you're not going to be able to see what else is available.
Yeah. That space beyond.
The space beyond.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why. There's a reason why American Express and Hewlett Packard and kings and queens have flown us up to their castles to teach their people these things. It's because people have forgotten, but it's not totally forgotten. It's here. And we are here to take and help guide individuals to say, this is what you need to focus upon. It's not complicated. This is where your success originates. These are the seeds in which you need to plant, but not only plant them, but nurture them, put them in fertile soil, and watch over them and sing to them. And that's how you grow your abundance. Picture again.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I so love our times together. Not only am I just in awe of all that you are doing to spread your light amongst those of us who can increase our light by just a tad, being a tad in your light. I'm so grateful. And I want to let our audience know that we're not quite done yet. I realize we're a little bit over time, but you know, some things you just can't worry about the time. There is time for everything. I think is written very well, that there is a time for everything. Right now, there is a time to pay attention to the wisdom that's coming to us right now. And I just want to point out, or point a little more closely into, and express my gratitude for Terri. You're going through the 4 directions and the information that you shared about those 4 spaces and what they will bring out of us as we do that. And then go back to those 3 C's: consistency and courage and what was it? Consistency, courage, clarity, courage, and consistency. Because, you know, even in those words, you can see how they spin. And when we know and really stand in that knowing that everything is energy, we also have to know that energy moves. When we are not moving, the words that we're speaking are not moving in a forward, positive, upward direction. They're moving and spiraling downward and being contracted. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the things that we are so clear about is that everything that you focus on, anything that you focus on, expands. And it is up to us to recognize that when we're in the focus of something that we are choosing to even deal with, yet not have expand, be in that space and decide immediately to move into the space of beyond that, so that you can already be in the expansion of the light that brings about these miracles that you're talking about. And I know at one point when I first got introduced to MindShift, it was really because it was Miracle Mind Shift. And I thought, oh my gosh, with the teaching that you guys did, and this was actually over a year ago, and I have been in the Miracle Mind Shift ever since then. I've done the program 4 times, and because I can do the actual detailed program as many times as I choose, I'm so in awe every time that I do it. And every time that I do it, I move to another level of alignment within myself, of alignment of my heart and my head. And I can remain in my heart to do and be who I am coming to be more of in this world. And I'm just so grateful. Why don't you tell our audience a little more about the Miracle Mind Shift? Because
absolutely,
I won't ever get away from it being actually the Miracle Mind Shift, because it opens you up to the space of allowing and receiving the miracles that can come to you. So tell us all about it.
Well, first I want to thank you again, Lynn, for bringing us into your audience, into the world, because really you've opened a lot of hearts with your love and your compassion for their abundance. But also I want to take and kind of add a little bit of a bonus to this whole conversation. One is that we know that people have a tendency of being motivated by pain or pleasure. That's the leverage that most people have a tendency of doing. But what I love is to take and utilize the moment of pleasure as the motivator, especially if they choose to take and come into this world and come into our world of these teachings. So if they take and come in and embrace the Miracle Mind Shift, at the end of 31 days, I will take and give them 1 hour of my time on the phone, which is $1,000 of what I get paid to do that, to help them find their next step.
Oh, that is beautiful. Thank you. I'm so in gratitude to the both of you. And I know that is going to be one of the most profound times that anyone can take part in, because you mentioned a piece of what happens during the Miracle Mind Shift where, you post some of the things that you've come to an awareness over and awakened to, and you respond. And I am so grateful to have been able to contribute even into that conversation for my own growth and expansion. And I want others to know that that is possible for themselves. And just, think of the Miracle Mind Shift as the place that you can expand and you can become more of the person that you're here to be. It's been mentioned, we are all called for a purpose, and everyone has a purpose under the sun. And living in it and living the truth of who you are in it is something that I know the Miracle Mind Shift program can help you get to. So I've got a little link here for people to go and find more information. Skyhawk.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, it's skyhawkenterprises.biz. Hope you can see that. /MindShift. Skyhawkenterprises.biz, B-I-Z, /MindShift. And Terry, go ahead. Tell us a little more.
Well, yeah, I think it helps people have kind of a container of what is, we keep talking about Miracle Mind Shift. What is it? It's a 31-day program, and it's designed to help you transform your life. And it's really focused around the concept of deserving to receive abundance. But it works it works on every level, but we focus it that way because that's really kind of the crux of how people experience lack, at least on a conscious level. And so during each of the 31 days, you will receive an audio from us, helping you tune into the energy of that day and get very clear with it. You'll definitely get clarity about how resistance shows up for you, how you respond to it, and how you can master your relationship with resistance. It'll help you remove obstacles. It'll help you identify them and remove them without having to force it. You'll find things, you'll start to notice resources that you have available that have been right in front of you, maybe sitting right next to you, that you've never noticed before. It opens up your awareness and it helps you see beyond the limitation that you currently experience. It's a very, very powerful program. We've had so many people say of all the different work that they've done. We've got one person who said, I've spent over $100,000 on personal development programs and nothing has been as powerful for me as doing this 31-day program. And as Lynn, as you've mentioned, because it's our really our heartfelt desire to make these programs available at a very affordable rate so that virtually anybody can find a way to do it. We also want you to continue to get the benefit. If you're willing to invest your time, your energy into creating change, positive change in yourself, that makes a huge difference in the world. And that's what we're committed to. So once you join, it's a one-time investment and you have lifetime access. So you can do it over and over and over again. And each time that you do that, as Lynn, you were mentioning, you go even further. And we've had people who have had challenges with making their rent do the program. We've had multimillionaires do the program. And inevitably, everybody experiences a tremendous shift. That's why we call it the mind shift in their conscious awareness within that 31 days. You're not doing it alone. You're doing it with our guidance, daily audios, as well as daily interaction through the private members community where we personally, it's not, we don't have our staff or our team do this. Robert and I personally read your messages and personally respond to you so that you're supported and guided through that, because you're important. You matter. You're not invisible. We say, Ningi Wabama, we see you. We see you and we see who you are in this world. And it's a great honor and privilege to be here with you today.
Thank you.
And I think that's what people forget, is that there are individuals out there such as you and Terry and I that are out there that when they write something, they think that maybe it's one of our assistants that's responding. They don't realize, in fact, sometimes an individual will have trouble saying, I've had trouble downloading number 3, and Terry will write back, here's what you need to do. And that sometimes if it doesn't work the second time, she will literally call them and they'll say, is this Terry? She goes, yes, it is. She goes, let's go over it together. Let's see where the problem is. Because it's important for us to get them to realize that, yeah, the glitches happen. We know it happens. Life happens. But let's not get angry or upset about it. Let's realize we can find a way. Find a way. That's another wonderful little something that people need to write down, because that's really a magical little empowering mantra that they can use.
I love it. I love it. Well, Terry and Robert, thank you so much for being with me here today. It's hard to believe that it's actually been a year. So I think we're going to have to make this an annual event where we come together at least once a year to do something for the Biz Info Zone audience. And I know that we've played in the interim. We've done something for the Permission Movement experience, which, by the way, the Permission Movement is alive and well. And our book, Permission to Be Powerful, is actually scheduled for publication in October, to be released in November. And I'm so excited. I still don't know how, but it has come to me that that's the schedule that it's on, and things are happening. So I am in the flow and excited. And so for our audience, I want to say thank you for being with us today, to enjoy this time with us as we're enjoying this time with you. It is our honor, our privilege, my honor, my privilege to bring you this show each week, and to bring you people like Chief Robert and Terri TALLTREE, who have the heart's desire to help you to up your game, to up your personal game, to up your business game. And when you look at playing life as a game, your heart is just so full, and you can't express the joy of living, the fulfillment of living. And that's our heart's desire. That's why we're here. And we're going to close the show today. Robert and Terri, do you have any one other thing to leave with our audience today?
Believe in yourself. Know that there are no accidents. No accidents. There's never an accident when a flower blooms, and you are like a flower. And when you realize that that is what you were born to do, is to expand and express yourself, and in doing so, that essence, that fragrance, that light will attract everything that's necessary for you to take and be that wonder that was within you to begin with as a child, but to be with that wonder. And wonder goes with wisdom. Choose to join us. Choose to be part of this. Choose to be excited. Choose to be loved. Choose to express yourself. Choose you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my message is, I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being born and being present in the world. Have courage. Don't give up. Don't ever give up on yourself or your dream. It's worthy. You're worthy. And whatever is in your heart was placed there for a reason. And it's just longing for you to give it the space for full expression.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And to our audience, as we sign off today, I want you to know that you can be in your open heart. And just know, open hearts, open hearts. So be the open heart. I love you. Namaste. Thank you for being here with me today. I'm Velyn Hawkins, your host, and you've been in the zone, the Biz Info Zone. Bye for now. We'll see you next week for another great show.